What's going on, everybody? It's Wally with the Misadventures.
Joined by Buff. Obviously, I guess.
on a rather delayed note. We practiced this like 3 times before starting this, and to no avail. It still goes off without a hitch, so I'm just giving up now. We're just going to go.
Yeah. Okay, so Wally and I want to talk about an issue that bothers us. It's kind of a twitch in the back of our brain. And we wanted
for me, it's kind of come to the forefront lately, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it really has, especially with a lot of reoccurring games, say sequels and whatnot.
So, the topic that I'm talking about is why is it that basically sequels, or games that are brought out to be the next in the series, or the next release of a title by a company that kind of runs the same series. Take, for example, Battlefield and Destiny. Those are going to be my 2 big ones tonight. Why is it they always seem to be lacking features that made the prior games better? It bothers me. And this really got kicked to the forefront because over this last weekend, when I pried myself away from playing Monster Hunter for a little bit, I found myself, I got hooked into The Division. And
yeah, I did see that. I
played The Division like all day Sunday. And I had a blast with it. And they've done a fantastic job since the time the game has come out with adding features. But it got me to thinking, when The Division was first coming out, the first Destiny kind of was better than it, alright? And so The Division sort of faded into the background. The Division had its own problems, don't get me wrong, but it faded into the background and was kind of lost to time, right? And as Destiny progressed, it became a better and better game. It burnt me fairly badly with the way that they did some of the stuff, but I can admit, towards the end of Destiny 1's lifespan, it was a pretty flushed out game.
Yep.
So,
now, flushed out how, Wally?
Well, they had flushed out, you know, the raids. Some of the raids were a lot better. The gear system, how you could upgrade gear, and just the general gameplay and everything was better. I played it a little bit there towards the end, and I had a much more enjoyable time than I did in the very beginning of the game. But it got me to thinking, why is it that Destiny 2 seems to be missing so many of those features that people liked out of Destiny 1? And for a more relatable source and something that I can talk much more highly on, I'm going to go back to Battlefield 4's launch. And one of the biggest...
Don't even get me started on that.
Oh, it was horrible. Netcode aside...
I heard how horrible it was, and I initially, granted, I was in a different occupation at the time, and I was unable to pick it up at release.
I was one of our group that actually had a PS4 for that release anyway. A lot of people started it still back on 360. Because the majority of our friends, we all transferred from 360 to PS4.
Correct.
But I was there for the launch, and I remember one of the biggest things that always irked me was, where was the squad join?
Seriously.
It was there in Battlefield 3.
Even when I got into the game, the squad join was horrible, and then they updated it and made it worse. Like, yeah, squad join was a thing, but you couldn't actually join a squad. You had to join somebody that you wanted to play with had to be in a server, and then you could join that way instead of having to search for the server.
It was horrible. Like, there was no squad join feature, and coming out of Battlefield 3... which actually had a pretty decent squad join feature, in my opinion. I know that you weren't able to join squads on the PC side till, I think, here in Battlefield 1 only recently, or something like that. So, this is excluding you guys. I'm sorry for your trials and tribulations regarding that. But, on the console side, where did it go? Why was that not something that was implemented at launch? It's a pretty key feature, seeing as Battlefield supports, you know, how many players. We went from 12 to... No, we went from 24 to 64, right?
Yeah.
12v12 versus 32 and 32.
Yep.
And that was a huge jump, and the ability to not be able to do that with your friends was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And then, progress forward, Battlefield 4 kind of fell off the wayside, right? It was dead and it was gone. And you actually got me back into it. And I'm very glad that you did. I had a great time with it towards the end of its lifespan. And I think Dice LA did a fantastic job in sort of resurrecting that game from the dead. You know, they modified a lot of stuff. They overhauled the suppression system. They overhauled the netcode. They got the game refined down to a pretty polished jewel. And it's evident today by a lot of the bigger YouTubers are going back and revisiting Battlefield 4, and those videos are getting a massive amount of views. Like, Battlefield 4 is doing well. There's no denying it. Like,
I still hop on it every now and then, I'm not going to lie. I love it.
Granted, I don't have it installed right now because I needed the space because, you know, there's only so many 100-gig games that I can have installed on my console at any given time.
With all the extra DLC. I think it has like 55 gigs of just base content DLC.
Yeah, so the DLC has more gigs worth of download than the base game, which is cool, but, I mean, that aside, it's a space hog, and I needed the space really bad. So I don't have it installed right now, but honestly, I'm thinking about going back to it. The gunplay was better. There was actually skill-based gunplay in regards to guns behaved and acted differently. All right? And
now, I understand. On that topic of the gunplay, I understand going, say, from Battlefield 3 in one game engine to Battlefield 4 in a completely new, untested game engine to Battlefield 1 on a newer game engine that is better than the previous version.
I thought 3 was built on... Or I thought... So 3 was built on Frostbite 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And Battlefield 4 was built on Frostbite 3, but I think Battlefield 1 was built on Frostbite 3 as well, right?
Yeah, but they changed the gameplay. Or, I don't know, I'd have to look at that.
They changed the mechanics of it, the core mechanics. Like, the guns don't pull stronger in one direction or any of that stuff.
Honestly, what I'd like to see in Battlefield 1 is not necessarily, like, the damage and the, more or less, the stats that the guns have, but just the way the weapon handles when you move your, say, your joysticks or your mouse or whatever system you're using. I want them to handle like they did in Battlefield 4.
Yeah. I mean,
I would...
And a lot of that comes down to the gun mechanics, honestly.
I'd actually rather have the Battlefield 3 mechanics, because, God, if I could play Battlefield 3 on PS4, I'd be in heaven right now.
It was a good game. I loved it. It was very infantry-focused, and I think that's what I liked about it more than anything. Yeah. I'm not a big vehicle map guy.
I also don't like... I like the new res system in comparison... Like, the res system in Battlefield 1 in comparison to the res system in Battlefield 4. But my favorite, just because it was comical, my favorite res system was Battlefield 3.
The res
Because I remember 4 of us standing at the hallway, me and you running around as medics. And all we did is me and you, we would cross paths like a T-intersection at a hallway, and the other 2 guys are sitting there. They'd be up long enough to toss a grenade or long enough to reload the next time they fire, and it was fantastic. And
it was fun, but it was horrible. You gotta admit, dude.
It was horrible.
It was horrible. It was broken, and it's a very good thing that they changed it, but my God, was it fun.
it was fun. Yeah, it was hilarious. I loved doing it.
Yeah, it was great. But
points for days.
You're right. It brings me back though to a topic though of true games progress and games actually get better, and that's actually a very good example of that. The resurrection system and how it's adopted and changed as time has gone on is a very good thing. But why is it that some of these features just regress? I felt that suppression at the end of it,
such as the ammo supply box. Oh God, you remember when they broke that in Battlefield 4?
Yeah. Yep. This dude's waiting on a grenade! What? Is he insane?
Oh, man.
But it's that type of thing. Like, I understand things get better. It's good to see things progress and the industry move forward, but why does it feel like to try and move forward, it goes backwards? I mean, it does to me, and I'd like to see what everyone else has to say in the comments about this, so please feel free to comment down below on that.
2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
It kind of, yeah. I mean, like, look at Suppression. Suppression was actually pretty decent towards the end of Battlefield 4's life cycle. It felt good. I mean, you could fight back through it, but it was effective to suppress someone still. But then enter in Battlefield 1, and we're back to this little, like, looping figure 8 old school start of Battlefield 4 suppression system. And it just annoys me. And then you know, we'll take a look at Destiny now, and you went from a system that restricted you to, what was it, a primary, a special weapon, and a heavy weapon, to 2 primaries and a heavy. And granted, that always seemed like a really cool idea at the time, and we implemented it. Derp. Bungie implemented it, and it was something that the community pretty much asked for, and so we kind of shot ourselves in the foot by asking for it. Right? Yeah, we're totally working for Bungie here.
Your human CPU has reached its maximum derp. Maximum potential derp.
And it was at this moment that Wally... Derp.
Derp. Until it goes derp.
Pretty much, right? But I mean, now we're looking at Destiny 2, and I don't think the weapons are balanced, right? But due to the way that they're balanced, there's no real division in play, and certain perks on weapons like break them entirely. And the biggest thing that I can kind of point to is I played The Division, right? And when I quit playing The Division, my gear was like top tier. I was good to go. But then when I came back to The Division, there are 5 world tiers of gear score level, and my gear barely qualified for tier 2. So we had to do some grinding and some... Yeah, we had to do some grinding and such, and I got myself back up into tier 5. And it's actually Oreo and Astheus that I was playing with over the weekend. And a few of you guys will probably recognize those names. But I had a blast. The gunplay felt good. You know, the weapons actually felt unique and different, even within their own architecture. Sniper rifles, they all felt different. Auto rifles, they all felt and behaved different. You know, the random rolls on it actually was kind of fun. Like, I hated it in Destiny 2. Excuse me, I hated it in Destiny 1. But now I kind of miss it. There again, you know, we asked for it and we got it. But the random rolls, trying to get that good gun, and plus there's such a wealth of variety of gear in Division that it's almost impossible to get the gear that you want trying to play solo. And that's where one of the biggest and coolest features in my mind comes into play. Buff, if you and I were playing The Division, and you got some gear that you didn't want, and I got some gear that I didn't want, we can go ahead, and as long as it was a random drop gear that we got from the quest, we could drop it on the ground and share it with anyone that we just completed that quest with for up to an hour.
No kidding.
It's one of the reasons why I kind of want to get you into that game, even though you are right. We're trying to juggle an awful lot right now, so... Whether or not we actually get into it, who knows? We'll have to see how it goes. If you guys actually want to see us play some Division, leave a comment down below or leave a like or something like that. Give us some feedback and tell us what you think, because largely, in part, what we do on this channel is driven by the community of this channel. So, you know,
most definitely.
Feedback is going to be critical for that. But...
yeah, which we don't get much of that. Cough, cough.
Right. Cough, cough, leave a comment, damn it. But
seriously, guys,
but that's like my point, is why is it that so many of these good ideas get pitched the wayside, and then the next game that comes out, it doesn't have necessary features that you almost feel that you should have in a game at this point? Is it because they're just turned into money-making machines, honestly? I mean, if we look at Destiny, it's like...
how many microtransactions does Destiny go by now? I mean... take Eververse, for example.
Eververse is horrible, and I'm really hoping Bustany. My God, my tongue is tied today. Really hoping Bungie fixes Destiny's Eververse going forward with that. So, you know, we'll have to see how that goes. But then, like Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 had a fantastic progression system. There was so much to do, so many achievements to hunt for. I don't even think I ever got them all. And we played for hours. Hours upon hours playing that game. And there was always something to work for. You know, use this gun to try and unlock the stuff for this gun. In comes Battlefield 1. Nothing. Battlefield 1 didn't even have ribbons or medals at launch. Remember that? It had some weird sort of medal, but it didn't even have ribbons. Or special dog tags. Remember the special dog tags out of 3? I thought that system was great. They kind of toned it back in Battlefield 4, which I thought was stupid. And then it, like, disappeared in Battlefield 1. And it became like, hey, you just get a proficiency tag for getting 100 kills. What happened to the big special tags for, like, 500 kills that, like, clearly displayed how many kills you had with a weapon or things like that?
Yeah.
And another thing, I never, in all of my playtime in Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 3, saw anyone that had a set of dog tags with the same weapon that they were using, because you usually wore the tags for your best weapon, that broke into these tens of thousands of kills that Battlefield 1 seems to have. How many service stars do some people have with those weapons? It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
How?
you're telling
I don't understand.
There were guys with a couple hundred service stars.
Why? Why is that so much more prevalent in Battlefield 1 than it is in Battlefield 4? And maybe I'm just blind. Maybe it was in Battlefield 4 as well, but I don't remember it. I don't remember that being as big a thing. So, anyways, that's my 2 cents. I had to get my rant out, and I want to see, honestly, what our community has to think about it. And I know you share a lot of the same opinions I do, Buff.
Oh, most definitely.
And I just, yeah. You can even tell right now it's kind of got me flustered. To be honest, I haven't played Destiny.
I actually had to turn on some fairly calming music not to join you in, like, super rant mode. Otherwise, I'd still be going.
Drink Super Rage, and you'll rage like a Wally.
You'll rage like a Wally.
But, you know, in all honesty, guys, I want to know what everyone thinks. Please leave feedback down in the comment section. Give us a comment. Tell us what you thought. If you liked the video, you know, give it a thumbs up. Let us know that you want to see or even hear more like this, because this is almost more podcast style than it is really any sort of relevant video. I promise we'll have a good relevant video up Friday, so keep an eye out for that. Buff and I have been having a blast with Monster Hunter, so expect to see more Monster Hunter content coming out. We're going to be looking at maybe a couple more games to venture in and see with you guys. Battlefield 1's going to be having some updates here soon, so we're probably going to venture back into that, check that out a little bit. Destiny 2, maybe. I haven't played Destiny 2 now for
months.
4 weeks. I don't think I've played it at all this new year. And I was tempted a couple of times and thought about it and just didn't want to waste my time because I knew nothing was different. However, that being said, Buff, with all the updates that are coming out, 6v6 PvP playlists are coming back.
Are they really?
They are. So I'm probably going to have to hop on and check that out, because 6v6 was one of the biggest things that I was hoping would come back, because I love that format. So anyways, that's all from me. Buff, do you have anything?
No, you pretty much covered it, and I brought up the topics I needed to keep you talking.
Pretty much. I mean, you just kind of... I just went on a rant mode today, so... Alright, guys. Thanks for sitting there and listening. Been our pleasure to entertain you today.
Let us know what we missed, or what you think we missed.
Yeah, give us some feedback. Yeah, give us some feedback. It's always appreciated, so... If you're new, please make sure to subscribe to keep up with all things new from Buff and Wally. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for your returning patronage. Like, I can't stress how much that means to Buff and myself. Posting out videos, seeing the views come in, and seeing you guys that are always commenting, always there, ever present. It's really awesome, and we're super glad that we've had a chance to get to know you guys. So, we look forward to doing lots more with you. So,
from all of us here at the Misadventures, thank you very much, and we will see you next time.